Over the past several years, I have immersed myself in the study of relationship psychology and male behavioral dynamics, not casually, not through shallow advice columns or recycled motivational slogans. I mean disciplined, systematic study, peer-reviewed research, evolutionary psychology, behavioral economics, neurobiology, case studies, biographies of powerful men across history, and most importantly, real-world observation. Hundreds of men, hundreds of couples, thousands of private conversations where people reveal what they never say out loud. And again, everything converged on the same brutal question. Why are some men deeply respected, desired, and feared to be lost by women, while other men, often kind, loyal, intelligent, hardworking men, are ignored, dismissed, or quietly replaced? Why do some men become anchors in a woman's life, while others become background noise? The answer is not what most men are told. And once you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. Today, I want to give you that clarity. Let's begin with a scene many men know too well. You are sitting across from her at a table. The setting is right. You chose the place carefully. The atmosphere is pleasant. The food is good. On paper, everything should be working. But something feels off. You sense a distance you can't quite explain. You speak, and your words land flat. You try to be engaging. You tell a story. You make a joke. She smiles politely. She nods. But her eyes are somewhere else. Then it hits you. That look. Not anger. Not irritation. Not disappointment expressed openly. Something far worse. Indifference. Her eyes are clear, calm, glassy. She is physically present but psychologically gone. You are no longer interacting with a woman. You are performing for an empty room. The connection has already collapsed, quietly, without drama. You may have seen that same look before. In an ex who suddenly stopped returning calls. In a girlfriend who began responding with irritation instead of warmth. In a wife who started rolling her eyes at things she once admired. In a date who abruptly remembered something important 30 minutes in. Different situations, same expression. It is the look of a woman who expected solidity and found instability, who expected depth and found surface, who expected strength and encountered need. Now contrast that man with another type of man you've also seen. The man who enters a room and doesn't announce himself, yet the atmosphere shifts. The man who doesn't chase attention, yet receives it. The man who doesn't argue for respect, yet commands it without effort. Women notice him immediately, not because he tries, not because he performs, but because something about him registers at an instinctive level. This is the man women fear losing. And no, it is not luck. It is not genetics alone. It is not money. It is not status. It is something internal. And once you understand it, you realize it is buildable. Let's talk about the foundation. In the chaotic economy of modern relationships, the rarest and most valuable currency is self-control, not repression, not emotional numbness, but disciplined governance of the self. Most men today live as emotional debtors. They react compulsively to everything: a message, a delay, a comment, a look, a perceived slight, a woman's mood shift, a social media post, traffic, weather, opinions. They bleed emotion constantly. Nothing is filtered. Everything spills outward. Women watch this, often silently, and something deep inside them pulls away. Why? Because a man who cannot govern his own internal world cannot be trusted with an external one. A man who panics internally is not a source of safety. He is a liability. At a biological level, women equate emotional volatility with danger. Instability signals unpredictability. Unpredictability signals risk, and risk is the opposite of attraction. A man without self control is like a ship captain who loses composure at the first sign of turbulence. No one wants to be on that ship when the storm arrives. I once worked with a man who articulated this principle perfectly. He said, I treat my impulses like wild terrain. I observe them, I study them, but I never let them dictate the route. He wasn't suppressing emotion. He felt frustration, disappointment, anger, desire, just like anyone else. The difference was infrastructure. Before any impulse became an action, it passed through a filter: values, long term vision, identity. He called it internal governance. Women sense this immediately. They feel the difference between a man reacting from insecurity and a man responding from sovereignty. One feels unstable, the other feels solid, and solidity is seductive. This leads us to the concept most men misunderstand completely: internal value. Every relationship operates on an invisible exchange rate. Respect is never demanded, it is priced. If you treat yourself like a low value asset, the market will agree with you. Most men enter relationships like desperate traders. They slash their own prices preemptively. They discount their time. They give away boundaries. They abandon routines. They sacrifice principles, all in the hope of being chosen. This creates inflation of availability and deflation of value. The more you give yourself away, the less you are worth. A man who is respected does the opposite. He establishes a non negotiable internal standard. He knows what his time costs. He knows what behavior he accepts. He knows what he will not trade away under any circumstances. If he has commitments to his body, his work, his mission, his family, those commitments are not abandoned on a whim. Not for boredom, not for convenience, not to prove interest. When he says no, it is calm. No explanations, no guilt, no fear. This signals something powerful: consistency. And consistency is interpreted as reliability. A woman's mind makes a rapid calculation. If this man does not betray himself in small matters, he will not betray others when things are difficult. But here is the part most men never see. Women test men, not maliciously, not consciously, instinctively. She is not trying to manipulate you. She is trying to understand what you are made of. She applies pressure to see if you bend. She introduces inconvenience to see if you collapse. She withdraws warmth to see if you panic. She challenges you to see if you dissolve. This is not cruelty, it is assessment. Most men fail immediately. They either become aggressive defensive, argumentative, emotionally reactive, or they become compliant, apologetic, over accommodating. Both responses communicate the same thing. My emotional stability depends on you. That is not attractive. That is heavy. A respected man does not pass tests by winning them. He passes by remaining unchanged. If she criticizes his style, he does not justify or scramble to adjust. If she challenges his opinion, he does not raise his voice. If she withdraws, he does not chase. He remains centered, not cold, not indifferent, centered. This communicates an unshakable message. I know who I am, and that is rarer than beauty, money, or charm. Another critical failure many men make is constructing their entire identity around a woman. They outsource meaning. She becomes their emotional regulator, their validation source, their motivation, their purpose. This feels romantic to inexperienced men. To women, it feels suffocating. And no one wants to be responsible for another adult's sense of worth. A man who commands respect has a life that moves forward regardless of who is watching. He has a mission larger than romance. He has goals that do not pause for affection. When she enters his life, it enhances it, but it does not define it. This creates a paradox that confuses many men. The man who needs her least is the man she wants most. Why? Because his life has direction, and humans are drawn to direction. When a woman sees a man whose trajectory is clear, whose momentum is real, she wants to be part of that movement. She wants to join, not replace his path. This is abundance psychology. Scarcity kills attraction. The moment a man fears loss, he begins negotiating against himself. He tolerates disrespect. He compromises dignity. He rationalizes behavior he would never accept elsewhere. Fear erodes boundaries. A respected man is not reckless, but he is willing to walk away. Not as a tactic, not as a threat, as a reality. When boundaries are violated, he addresses it directly, calmly, clearly. This doesn't work for me. If this continues, we part ways. No drama, no manipulation. Ironically, this is what creates security. Because when a woman knows a man stays by choice, not desperation, his presence becomes valuable. Choice is attractive. Need is exhausting. True authority is never loud. Men who demand respect reveal insecurity. Men who posture reveal fear. Real authority is quiet, composed, unrushed. It shows in posture, in tone, in eye contact, in restraint. A man with authority does not dominate others to feel powerful. He does not humiliate waiters. He does not explode at inconvenience. He does not perform masculinity. He embodies it. This calm competence creates a field of psychological safety. People relax around it. Women gravitate toward it. Another overlooked principle. Attention is currency. Most men overspend it. Instant replies, constant availability, endless validation. When attention is unlimited, it loses value. A respected man is focused. His attention is earned, not rationed artificially, but naturally, because his life is full. When he gives attention, it is present, undivided, heavy. That presence is rare. Finally, understand this. Women do not seek perfection. They seek stability under pressure. A man whose confidence rests on a single pillar money, looks, status will collapse when that pillar cracks. A man who builds himself internally becomes anti-fragile. His self-esteem is distributed across character, discipline, intellect, adaptability, and values. When one area fails, the structure holds. This depth is felt instantly. Respect flows to sovereignty, to the man who lives by his own constitution, who keeps promises to himself, who chooses the difficult path when shortcuts are available, who compounds character daily, invisibly. This kind of man does not ask for respect. He makes disrespect impossible. And when you become such a man, the question, how do I make her respect me, disappears. Respect becomes the baseline. If this analysis resonated with you, if it clarified something you felt but could not articulate, support the work. Share your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel. Here, we do not sell illusions. We dismantle them. Welcome to reality.